Let's take a look at the most important position in this game, though. I mean, you could argue for the secondary versus the receivers of Ohio State between that battle with the Irish defense and the Buckeye firepower. Could argue about the trenches, and those are all fair takes, but there's no way to slice it that the quarterback matchup in this spot doesn't factor in a massive way to whoever hosts that national title trophy on Monday night. There's no way around it. So we'll break this down right now, but first, make sure you are subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. Again, ton of content coming your way. We'll be in Atlanta all weekend through Monday, having a good time. Make sure you're locked in. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. Hoping to talk to both these guys, full transparency. In addition to that, this show brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. All right, code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, gets you $50 in promo funds. Right now, there's a Will Howard free square. He throws for more than half a yard. It hits. So go ahead and use that code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds. So what do you need from both these quarterbacks? Like, what's the role for these guys in this spot? We're going to break it down for Riley Leonard as well as Will Howard. But let's start with Riley Leonard. It feels like to me it is the third verse of the same song we've been singing all playoff. Like, hey, Riley, we need you, brother. we need you to find a way. And to this point, man, he has answered the bell. I understand the Penn State game and threw those 2 picks, and it is what it is, but like, dude is a warrior. And there's a quote from Vince Lombardi that I think we need to read just to give you a proper context around what is required of the Irish quarterback in this spot. Quote, I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment of all that he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. Now, is that dramatic? 110%. Is it true? Without a doubt. Like, we talk about the talent gap between Ohio State and Notre Dame, 10 5-stars for Ohio State, none for Notre Dame, tells the story pretty clearly. Riley Leonard was a 3-star out of high school, transferred from a basketball school at Duke. Like, this is your moment, bro. This is your spot to go lay it all on the line for your school you just transferred to, make a case nationally for what you have been as a player this entire season, and make a case for the NFL draft. Like, this is your spot, man. There is no greater opportunity than what you have in front of you. And so that's a lot of pomp and circumstance to tell you I think it is by any means necessary for him on Monday night. Like, I think it's going to be a lot of quarterback design run, which we'll talk about more here in a second. I think for him, it is going to be there's no reason to leave anything in the tank. Like, sometimes you see teams, wisely so, try and limit how much they run their quarterback because they don't want to get him hurt. Riley Leonard, you're hoping you don't get hurt, obviously, but there's no next game to be healthy for, man. You give it all on 4th and 1, 3rd and 7, like he has all playoff with him jumping over dudes against Georgia in that playoff game is why we refer to 3rd and 7. So for him, man, it takes what it takes. Like, the result of winning this national championship game, it might be ugly, it might be clunky, it might be 80 yards on the ground again and 90 yards passing, but like for him, it's by any means necessary. You don't save anything, you don't hold anything back, you get after it, you swing your sword, and you make sure that you leave that place exhausted regardless of the result. Kind of cliche, but I think it's 110% true because I don't think they have a spot now where Riley Leonard is somehow like carried by other parts of this Notre Dame offense. It's going to go through him. Make no mistake, it's going to go through him. Going to go through his legs. They're going to ask him to push the ball downfield, especially with how good this Ohio State offense is to keep score. They're going to ask a lot of him. So what do you need from Riley Leonard? Put it simply, everything. Everything in this national championship game. Now, we gave a quote for Riley Leonard. Let's give another quote, or a story rather, for what you need from Will Howard in this national title spot. So there's a phenomenal documentary series called America's Game. I don't know if they still do it, but it used to be this documentary series around Super Bowl champion teams. And they chronicled Tom Brady's, I believe it was his first Super Bowl that he won in New England. And they tell the story where, it's New England has got the football, and they got a chance to go down and drive, kick a field goal to win the Super Bowl, and they make a decision on the sideline, hey, you know what, instead of, taking a knee or playing for overtime or just being conservative, whatever, we're going to go pedal to the metal here. We're going to go for it. And so everyone on the sideline is telling young Tom Brady, hey, man, don't turn the ball over. Hey, just be safe, be smart, do not turn the football over. Belichick says it, the OC says it, and then Drew Bledsoe, of all people, Tom Brady's now backup, shouts to him, man, forget all that. Go sling it. He used some different verbiage, but we're going to use that because that's the kind of show we try to operate here. He says, man, forget that. Go sling it. I think that's Will Howard in this game because all year long, all week long now, you're going to hear, hey, can Will Howard just not mess it up? Hey, can he just not crash the Ferrari that is this Ohio State offense? Can he just do enough? Can he keep it within the lines? And that's a fair take to have, but like in this spot now, you don't check your feet at the door, man. You don't check your swing and try, find the right pitch you like. You go in, screaming like a banshee, running there with a spear, and you go and take what you believe is yours. And credit Will Howard, man. He's been doubted a lot even going into this spot, this entire playoff, quite frankly. He is good enough to win you a national championship. Now, the floor is there, too. We could also see what we saw against Michigan, where he has a tough day at the office, and Ohio State suffers because of it, and Notre Dame finds a way to win. But I don't think the fear of what could happen should hold either of these quarterbacks back, but should definitely not hold Will Howard back. I think in a lot of ways, with how good this Notre Dame defense is, you're going to ask Will Howard to be the difference for you, much like he did against Texas. Texas did a phenomenal job limiting Jeremiah Smith to 3 yards. Ohio State didn't really commit to running the football, but they didn't, in the box score at least, have a tremendous day pounding the rock. Like it took Will Howard running that show the way that he did for them to win the football game. So hear me loud and clear. Will Howard does not need to have the game manager spot. I think he needs to go out there and get after him. So the squares that I like in this game, we got Riley Leonard. I mentioned it's going to take everything from him. He had 18 rush attempts against Penn State. Give me 14. 14 in this spot is his number. I'll take more than that. Give me 15, 16. I think it's going to take more. I think they'll call a lot for him on the 3rd and 4th and short, and I expect Notre Dame to be very aggressive in this game. Speaking of aggression, the Will Howard square that I like, 261.5 rush and pass yards combined. I'll take the more there. All right, we're going to open it up a little bit. We're going to rev the engine, and I don't think this is a spot where you just kind of, tippy-toe your way through this game and, Will Howard, give him a couple of shots downfield, and that's it. No, like you cut it loose here. You cut it loose, you rev the engine, and you let Will Howard keep that music playing and keep dancing because that's the one that brung you. Shout out DKR. So to get some more takes on this game, on this quarterback matchup, let's bring in a dude now that was a multiple-time all Sun Belt level safety. A dude who was a top 5 trivia finisher as of the last 12 hours. That is the man, the myth, the legend, producer of the Hard Count, vibe curator, Caden Smith.
JD PicKell, how you doing, my guy?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. What are you thinking about this one with the quarterbacks, man? There's a lot here, both different styles, different situations. You got anything for us on these guys, man? Any takes here, any squares you like, or just how you see this playing out with the quarterbacks and their roles in this spot?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to give you a shout out. That was a flawless analysis of both of these quarterbacks.
Hey, I appreciate that.
They're going to be a very interesting part for both of these teams. I think you did a good job talking about the duality of both of these quarterback situations. No one's doubting the weapons that are surrounding a guy like Will Howard or the defense that's going to be able to support him. And on the flip side, you have a Riley Leonard who people are coming into this week saying he's going to have to play the game of his career maybe for Notre Dame to pull off the upset win here. I think for both of these guys, though, what they have in common is the use of their legs, and I think that's going to be a very interesting part of this game, and I think that's going to be the X factor for both teams. I think we can both agree if Notre Dame can stay in swinging distance the same way they did against the Penn State, they'll have a shot in this game, and I think an X factor that can really help them out is if we see Riley Leonard being able to use his legs to maximum ability, be able to move the chains, help them possess the clock, do whatever they can to keep things going. I think he's going to run the ball a lot. I like his rush yards total, like you mentioned, at 36.5. I think he could go over that. The sacks make it a little bit confusing, but what I like even more is I think he's going to run the ball a lot. The yardage might be up and down. His longest rush is at 15.5. I'm going to take the under there just because I think Ohio State's defense, we talk about their second level, they're going to be downhill. You have Caleb Downs roaming around. You're going to have that pass rush there. I think he's going to have maybe a successful day running the ball. The total might be more in the up there, but the longest rush, I don't think he gets to 15.5. That's a little long for me. So from a PrizePicks perspective, I like that. And you know I'm a Green Goblin guy, JD. You look at the Green Goblins for this game particularly, half an interception, Green Goblin for Riley Leonard. He's been throwing it around a little bit more. It's a kind of game, too. I think you could look at that. You could look at the pass attempts at 27.5. I think I'll take the over there, too. I'm a guy who thinks Ohio State could dominate in this game. In that situation, he might have to throw the ball a little bit more. The pass attempts might be up. And then pairing that with an interception, which he's done even in games that he isn't behind in. He's been known to throw an interception every now and then. He's thrown 3 in the postseason, I believe, at this point. From a Riley Leonard perspective, I think those are the squares I like the most. And I think I agree with you. You're going to have to ask a lot from him, and I don't doubt he's going to be leaving it all out there when it comes to this game on Monday.
I'm really curious to see if we get to the fourth quarter, let's say it's a 3-point game. I was really impressed by the way Ohio State responded and they, very clearly went for the jugular against Texas and how they, were able to get that play in the red zone and all that and the Jack Sawyer poetic strip score, whatever. But I do wonder a little bit with how find a way-ish this Notre Dame team is and how find a way-ish Riley Leonard has been all year long outside of the NIU game, I wonder a little bit if, like, as this progresses, you see Ohio State maybe get a little bit tight. Maybe Lou Holtz starts tripping a little bit from the box or the side. Maybe things now get a little bit more towards Notre Dame. In a close game, I think I would favor Ohio State still from the way that they played against Texas, but I don't know that I feel amazing about giving Notre Dame a chance in the fourth quarter. Like, if I'm Notre Dame, like, get us to the fourth quarter within 3 points and let's play ball from there.
Yeah, I think if you asked Notre Dame faithful, their own team, even if you could be within a field goal going to a fourth quarter of this game, you'll definitely take it in a heartbeat. And I think when you talk about those traits, the intangibles we've been preaching about with Notre Dame and how Marcus Freeman's really flipped the culture, I think talked about the margins as well yesterday. Those are the little things that this team has been able to do that's translated to them being able to rattle off wins in the playoff. You talk about their efficiency, controlling the ball. You talk about on defense, being able to play bend, don't break. You talk about special teams being able to make plays, being disciplined. I think with all of that considered, going back to the PrizePicks perspective of this with a Will Howard, I think there's a reason why PrizePicks is giving away that half a yard, because I think in all scenarios when you're talking about Will Howard in this game, I do like his yardage. If you want to just pair that half a yard with his normal rushing versus and passing, like you mentioned, 26 or 261.5, I would take the over there. His pass yards just in general, 245.5. He's been hitting all those totals. But you talk about Notre Dame, they've been bend, don't break. I like maybe a Will Howard to get a lot of yardage, but maybe not reach the end zone as much. I'd be a lot more bullish on those squares when you just talk about total yardage versus maybe not reaching the end zone as much. I mean, that Travion Henderson touchdown on that screen pass was the only touchdown that he had throughout the day through the air and on the ground. They were still pretty dominant in that game as far as their offense and what they were able to do. So you're talking about Will Howard in this game and yet Notre Dame kind of psyche and what they're able to do. I think they're going to put up a tough fight. I think it's going to be bend, don't break. I think they could blow open the game, but overall, in general, I think Will Howard yardage is going to be something you could definitely count on in this matchup.
It's going to be so fun. I cannot wait to get out there. It's going to be, I mean, it's a home game for you, brother. Like, it's going to be a good time out there. I cannot wait. Again, code HardCount, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds when you use that code HardCount. So appreciate y'all rocking with us. And fade or follow, more power to you, but regardless, get your 50 in promo using that code.